Hey, Hope here with another video for you today. This time we're going into Abyssos 7 Savage. Starting off, we have Spark of Life. This is a raid wide that also applies a bleed. Condensed or Dispersed Arrow 2. Dispersed requires tanks to separate. Condensed is a shared tank buster. Both require cooldowns and apply a heavy dot. Blades of Abyssos, Exaflares from 3 directions, and Proximity AoE from the center of the arena. Immortal's Obol, this does a knockup and changes the arena to platforms. Forbidden Fruit summons non-targetable adds. I'll review each as we come to them. This time there are 2 birds and 1 bull. The birds will dash in a straight line in the direction they are facing. The bull will make his tile completely unsafe. Hemithos's Holy 3. This will place stack markers on healers. Bow of Abyssos. The boss will cleave far or close depending on his animation. This time, he always cleaves far. Another Condensed or Dispersed Arrow 2. Spark of Life, raid wide with bleed again. Inviolate Bonds and Bow of Abyssos. Bow of Abyssos will cleave the front during this mechanic, causing you to resolve it on the back tiles. Inviolate Bonds gives 4 types of debuffs to players. Inviolate Winds 1 and 2. These cause an AoE around the player when expiring. Holy Bonds 1 and 2 share damage in a small stack. The 1s will go off first, then shortly after the 2s will resolve. To handle this, have the wind 1s go to the edge of the safe tile at clock spots. Everyone else should stack middle to share Holy Bonds damage. DPS will always get the same buff as each other. Tanks and healers will also get the same buff as each other, so it's either DPS in or DPS out. After the first Inviolate Bonds expire, the tree will cleave from one side. This also knocks back, so make sure to dodge to the correct direction. You are left with 1 tile to resolve the second round of Inviolate Bonds. Do so the same way you did the first, with winds out. Root of Abyssos. This destroys the front bridge. Condensed or Dispersed Arrow 2. Forbidden Fruit. Spawns 3 birds sending line AoEs down the paths, including the broken one. Multicast. This will place a knockback AoE on the far tile, and every player will have a small AoE on them. To resolve, send the melee to the northeast tile, and tanks to the northwest tile, and have healers in range stay in the back, spreading out at the cardinals of their section. Root of Abyssos will break the remaining bridges. Split into 2 light parties, make sure you go to different tiles. Forbidden Fruit. This time it will spawn a bull on every platform, making all platforms unsafe. Hemithos's Holy 3, stack markers on healers. Fear not, as the 3 platforms will connect again, and you can take 1 step toward the center to dodge the AoEs. Bow of Abyssos. Dodge back, then move forward, and look for the tail to go left or right. Another Condensed or Dispersed Arrow 2. Forbidden Fruit. This time 1 bull and 3 minotaurs. You can get an early tell which is where, because the bull egg has circular patterns, while the minotaurs have mouths. This time the bull does not do an AoE. Instead, he will tether 4 players and will send a wide line AoE centered on their characters. Have these players go to his tile and point them out of the arena in a loose spread. The 2 minotaurs on the tiles will tether 2 players. Have these players go behind each other's minotaur. The middle minotaur will try to cleave the 2 closest players. Luckily, 2 players have no tethers. Have these players bait between the 2 other minotaur platforms. Blades of Abyssos, another Exaflare. Multicast. Knockback and stack markers. You can either knockback immune and walk up, or allow yourself to be knocked in a direction from middle. As long as you ensure you do not tank the Exaflares and you are split into 2 different stacks, I would advise 1 group north and 1 east or west. Just be sure to continue dodging Exaflare after the stack. Condensed or Dispersed Arrow 2. Forbidden Fruit. 4 birds will spawn. These will tether to 4 players. These players should take them directly across the arena and knockback immune. If you do not have knockback immune, you must stand directly in front of the bird and get knocked back. I do not advise this. The remaining 4 players will need to soak the 4 available towers. Loosely spread to your Protean and adjust if needed. You should not have to go far for your Protean location for a tower. Spark of Life, AoE with Bleed, Immortal's Obol, Knock Up and Arena Change again. Forbidden Fruit will spawn 1 bull and 2 birds. Inviolate Purgation, the same debuff types as before, but this time they go up to 4. Also, the spreads leave behind massive AoEs that will go off with the next set of debuffs expiring. So make sure to be 3 people on the far side of the wall, 1 person center of the tile. You can use Protean positions looking out of the arena to decide who goes where. South Protean would stand middle. Rotate 1 clockwise for intercardinal players. Make sure if you are stacked, you stand at the wall as you leave behind a single large AoE with a safe spot where you stood. To start this phase off, locate the bull. Have the party with stack first go clockwise 1 tile. Then spreads will go counterclockwise 1 tile. The location for stack resolution will not change for the rest of the mechanic. If you went to A for your first stack will always be at A. The spread location will swap between the 2 remaining tiles every time a debuff expires. So just remember where the stack is, and you cannot go to where spreads just were when moving back out after heals. Repeat until all 4 debuffs are resolved. During all of this, the boss will cast Light of Life, finishing the first cast between the 2nd and 3rd debuffs for heavy damage, as well as another cast finishing after the final debuffs expire. Remember, you still have to dodge the final AoEs that will form from the final debuff. Forbidden Fruit, 2 birds this time, move to the far side of the empty tile. Root of Atlas destroys the bridges. Hemithos's Glare. You will place 1 puddle at the end of the cast, and 2 more will be placed following your location soon after. Look at the direction the birds are facing. 1 will be looking away from your platform. Head in that direction and wait for the bridge to reform. Move towards the bird, it will go off before you get there, and wait at the wall. Famine's Harvest. 6 Minotaurs will be spawned, 2 on each tile, 4 having tethers. 2 birds will also be spawned, 1 on each tile with 1 tile missing. If you are tethered, run to the tile away from your Minotaur that also has Minotaurs with tethers. If you are not tethered, go to the tile without tethers and bait the cleaves from these Minotaurs out of the arena. Be mindful of the birds dashing after the cleaves are baited. Death's Harvest. 3 bulls and 2 birds will spawn. 2 of the bulls will be on bridges, and each platform will have a bird or bull on it. The bridge bull closest to the platform bull will only have 1 tile they can go to, so give them priority for this, having the other players take the remaining free platform. There is room for all 4 tethers on the platform, 3 behind the bird and 1 on the corner. I would recommend using your Protean spots and using the middle behind the bird as north, rotating 1 clockwise for intercardinal players. War Harvest. This will be a sack strat. If you get lucky with certain elements, no one will die, but that is not guaranteed. When I get video of more strats, I'll do one just for this mechanic. It's a bit hard to see, so I'll pause and use a diagram to illustrate what's exactly happening. This time there will be 2 Minotaurs, 2 birds, and 1 bull. If you are tethered to a North Minotaur, you will go to the South platform on the side closest to the other Minotaur. The person tethered to an East or West Minotaur will stand directly in front of him and sacrifice. Tanks can invuln this to live. The players tethered to birds can stay on their tile, pointing it out and using knockback resistance, making sure to not get cleaved by a nearby Minotaur. If a North Minotaur spawned, just make sure you are opposite the tank on your platform if you are south. The 4 players tethered to the bull can simply spread behind and to the side of him. Spark of Life, another raid AoE. Bow of Abyssos, this one will always hit north and does a cleave after. Next is Spark of Life, and then Light of Life. This is the Enrage cast. And that's it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. The next guide will be soon. Big thank you to Woops for allowing me to use his vods, as well as many others I collaborated with for information. Have a nice day.